Hey there, welcome back to Total Geek Live Baltimore Presents. I'm Baltimore, and today I am bringing you Mutant Massacre. That's right, the 1986 crossover event, which basically kind of started all of the summertime events that Marvel is kind of like famous for. It started with this one, Mutant Massacre. And it was kind of seismic when it happened. There were a lot of things that were just like, when you think about it, with Mutant Massacre, the things that came from it are just kind of phenomenal. Like everything that happened after it had lasting change. It had real impact. It had things that were important and consequences to the actions of what happened. So that was really exciting and really kind of cool and daring at the time. You put, some of the things that come out of this when I talk about them, you're like, wow. And you kind of see their effects to this day. So it's really kind of cool. So these chapters basically are Uncanny X-Men 210 to 213, X Factor 9 through 11, New Mutants 46, Thor 373 and 374, Power Pack 27, and sort of Daredevil 238, although it's not always included into the collections. But this was really kind of cool. It made Death and Despair a major, major part of, the fabric of the X-Men and of, the Marvel Universe, and consequences for them. And, this is Mr. Sinister's kind of first appearance. He doesn't really technically make an appearance here, but his presence is felt. And what he does is he's trying to, clean up the mutant waste. All the people with powers, the mutant powers, who are kind of not great. He was just like, let's just eliminate them all, which mainly meant the Morlocks, which is a group of mutants who live in the sewers of New York City. People like Callisto, Caliban, Artie and Leech, Erg, Bliss, Sweet Dream, or Beautiful Dreamer. So a lot of these Morlock characters that were just kind of thrown there because society didn't like them or want them, they found each other, were a community. And the Marauders came to clean up, kill, and wipe them out. And it was pretty gruesome, even though they weren't really allowed to show the gruesomeness part of it. But it was pretty, like, wow, effect. And the only way that the X-Men knew about this was one of them escaped and traveled all the way up to Westchester and tunneled his way there to let them know what had happened, that they were being killed and slaughtered and murdered wholesale. And the X-Men kind of take care of them, and at this point in time, they've lost Professor Xavier, they've lost Rachel Summers, Phoenix too. Magneto is now in charge of the New Mutants. Cyclops is gone. He's married off with Madeline Pryor with the kid, and it's Storm in charge. But not only is she leader of the X-Men, because she defeated Callisto in combat, she's also the leader of the Morlocks. So there is an obligation that she has to the Morlocks that she's been kind of let by the side. So they came to the X-Men not just for that help, but because Storm is really their leader. Even though she left Callisto there in charge in her stead. So the X-Men go, and they're trying to determine what's happening on who's doing this and why. And you get one of the big first battle between Sabretooth and Wolverine. And that's kind of crazy to see that happening. And it's kind of important to things that come and still come. They still fight all the time. So that was really kind of cool. And because of the creators, it's Chris Claremont, it's Louise and Walt Simonson, and Ann Nocenti, with John Romita doing pencils, with Alan Davis. And so the interesting thing about this is that's Walt Simonson was writing Thor at the time, and he and Louise are married, so it's kind of a okay, yeah, sure, we live together, might as well write the stories together. So Thor being involved doesn't quite make sense on a character level, but on a creator level, you're like, okay, yeah, sure, okay. But it actually was pretty interesting. He tied in pretty seamlessly. At this point, Thor is trying to understand humans a little bit more. He's adopted a construction worker civil identity, and then he finds out that something's happened in the sewers, and he goes to check it out. So that's where he is at the moment. Um, and what was kind of cool about a lot of these issues is they kind of told the same story, but from different perspectives. So reading it on a whole, you're like, I kind of already saw this part before, but you see it from this angle, and you're like, oh, okay. So it kind of changes things a little bit. And it's kind of one of the first series to really implement that. And now it's been used a lot, and probably overused a lot to this day. But it was still really cool, when we were seeing it for the first time. Um, and so when I was talking about consequences, this had huge consequences. The Morlocks were basically wiped out, and they went to live with the X-Men in the X-Mansion for a while. And then they ended up going over to Muir Island for a while as well. So that was kind of big, and basically the Morlock community was wiped out. And then you have the injuries, life-threatening, super-duper real injuries. And the X-Men finally take injuries on this really bad. Colossus is injured. Shadowcat is injured. Nightcrawler is injured. All three of them are injured and have, things that, if they aren't fixed, they're going to die. It's a pretty substantial challenge. That wipes out three of the, X-Men that are right there. All I have is Rogue, Wolverine, Storm. That's not a lot to really kind of combat the rest of them. The Marauders, who are, 7, 8 characters deep and vicious. And so you have that going on. And then you have X-Factor coming in, and Angel, specifically, going down and trying to make sure that all the younger kids of the Morlocks get away. Artie and Leech, specifically. And he is attacked. And this is part of the downfall of Angel. And this kind of resurgence of, what we will see coming up. Because at this point, Harpoon, one of the villains from Marauders, uses his energy harpoons and stabs Angel's wings. Stabs him up, leaves him, basically nailed to the wall by his wings, by anything that made him special. And he ends up having to have his wings amputated. And it's like, when you see it for the first time, when you're reading the character up to this point, you're like, what? How? What? How, what? No, this can't be happening. But it does. And at least for a lot of great changes interesting changes that happen later on. So I'm not going to spill any of that. But it's really kind of seismic when you see it. So you have Angel injured, Shadowcat, Colossus, Nightcrawler, all off the table. You're like, this is some serious stakes. And it leads to changes. Real, actual changes. And it's pretty cool because now in the X-Men, if Shadowcat, Nightcrawler, and Colossus are gone, which they are, they go to Muir Island to kind of recuperate, you need more X-Men to come in. And then you get Dazzler. Yes. And Psylocke, British Betsy, join the team. So that's kind of a cool change for them. And that was one of the things that I really liked about Claremont's run, because not all the characters stayed forever. You had new people coming in all the time, and new characters and new interactions, and it was really exciting to see that. So that's what I really liked about that. So it was really kind of cool. And then you have the moment with Colossus and Riptide. And it's a striking moment, and I'll show it. He kills him. He snaps Riptide's neck. And it's this dark moment where, Colossus is one of the lightest, at this point, X-Men. He was very, very caring and kind. He broods a lot, but he was kind and not he was a gentle giant, so to speak. And he killed. And, it was obviously to save Nightcrawler and to, save everybody. But it was, wow. X-Men don't kill. Except, that time when Colossus, snapped the neck. So it was really, really, a really, really important series. And actually one of the first that I collected in a trade paperback. First edition here, really well read. I do love this Mutant Massacre series. You should pick it up. But I thought, it gave great stakes, consequences, everything about it was real. And I enjoyed that because the characters weren't always, untouchable, unassailable. Things could happen. Lineups can change. People can die. People can get injured and move on. And that was a great, great, way to show this. So I definitely do love the Mutant Massacre. I thought it was a really great series. I definitely think you should read it and check it out. And let me know what you think. Did the deaths surprise you? Did the injuries kind of shock you? Was it kind of real and visceral for you? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and share this. And, as always, it's all geek to us. And I'll be back soon.